For more on this is host of the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, also the author of Don't Burn This Country. Hey, Dave, great to see you.
John, good to see you. I mean, holy cow, are we in a dystopian movie or what?
Well, we live in Florida, Dave, so we have a Surgeon General who's actually looking out for parental rights, and our own doctor, our own pediatrician's recommendations. Now, look, just as the CDC starts pushing out these new vaccine guidance for kids, we see the mainstream media starting again. Get ready for a winter of death. More COVID is on the way. A new wave could be coming. You think it's a coincidence?
Oh, well, of course it's not a coincidence. And of course, the fear is, being ramped up with roughly 2 weeks before these midterm elections. And, you mentioned the winter of death, and that's what Biden said we were going to have last December. I think he said it a little bit before Christmas, and then Omicron came, and almost everybody, myself included, got COVID, and virtually everybody was okay. Obviously, there's all sorts of issues with the efficacy of the vaccines. But really what's important about this is that I watched the Zoom meeting that these 15 people had, and it was extremely dystopian. I mean, right out of V for Vendetta, a bunch of faces in boxes, just, saying their name and voting yes. They don't have the data. They don't know exactly why they're doing this. I suspect, John, and call me crazy, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but that some of these people, if we were to really track their finances out, relatives, et cetera, they might have something to gain, because, an awful lot of people have gotten very, very rich while being wrong about almost everything for the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci being one of them. So there's that. Now, let's also talk about our home state of Florida and Joy Reid, who's not a fan of Florida, by the way. She recently criticized not only Florida, but Texas as well. We can't forget, MSNBC is the home of, Joy Reid and Al Sharpton and other race baiters. But here is the first of 2 clips we want to play for you.
We begin tonight with Florida, which I would argue, even with Texas existing, has emerged as the modern state in this country that comes the closest to a modern-day version of Jim Crow. Now, just hear me out. If there is a state that better exemplifies the rot of MAGA Republican rule than the state of Florida that the governor has named in very Orwellian fashion the free state of Florida, I honestly don't know where it is, don't know what it is.
Strategy Cotton insulting 2 of the most populous states in the country and calling everyone who lives there racist. I also don't think Joy has actually read much George Orwell based on her assessment there.
I mean, she's really terrible. Every time I reference MSNBC on my show, I always say the televised mental institution known as MSNBC. There is nothing racist going on here in Florida. There is nothing anti-gay going on here in Florida. What's happening here in Florida is a flourishing state that, yes, Joy, I know you hate the F word, meaning the free word, that is free. It is free, and you make choices for yourself here. And by the way, despite having no state income tax here, our public schools are quite excellent. 20 years ago, there was a joke about Florida public schools because the idea was, there's all these old people here. They don't have state income tax, so they're not funding schools properly. We have great public schools here. We have an incredibly strong economy. Miami, which is where I am, was just voted the safest city in the United States. It's also the most fit city in the United States. I got to get to the gym after this. and there is a spirit here that America used to have throughout the 50 states. And that spirit is a pride in America. And that is, I think, our biggest export from Florida right now. We're doing it right. It obviously has a lot to do with the governor. But it's also the people. It's not just because a politician makes the right choice. It's because the people choose to live a certain way.
That's true. And I will say, I think the schools are getting better. They still got a little ways to go. Thanks to Governor DeSantis, he's showing leadership. And we've also seen some school boards flip recently. That's going to have a big effect. But let's play another clip here from Joy Reid because it gets better or worse.
I mean, Florida has it all. A law banning gay people from declaring their existence at school. Teachers can actually get fired for it. A law against anti-racist policies at work, like you have to let the racism be in the workplace or else. Book bans and requirements for patriotic Christian education propaganda in public schools. And of course, a concerted effort to make it as hard as possible for anyone who might vote for the out-of-power party, the Democrats, #Black people, to vote or to have representative districts. Florida's Jim Crow Redux governor, Ron DeSantis, even has his own Office of Election Crimes.
Now, did you see what she did there? The Democrats #Black people. So if you're not on board with all these crazy policies she's talking about, you're not welcome in the Democratic Party, no matter what race you are. And if you're black and you don't agree with some of these policies, you're not welcome in the Democratic Party either. Also, going back
John,
to your
you're
point.
not going to believe this. John, I have breaking news, if they can put the breaking news chyron below me. I believe that black people, regardless of their color of their skin, much like white people and Asian people, can have all sorts of different political thoughts, and that your skin color does not dictate your political ideology. There was some guy a long time ago that used to say something about that. I forget his name.
Martin Luther King Jr., I think.
Thank you.
Yes, we can't forget that. Also, speaking about the leadership in Florida, we've got Ron DeSantis, of course, who we know is a racist, homo and transphobic guy and is misogynistic. So much so that his lieutenant governor, Jeanette Nunez, is a Latina. His commissioner for education, Manny Diaz, also a Latino. And we have, Joseph Lobato, the black surgeon general. And none of that really matters, except that we have to point it out to push back against Joy Reid's race baiting.
Well, look, let's just quickly go through the 4 things she said, that basically this state is anti-gay. Simply not true. The Don't Say Gay bill had nothing to do with being gay. You don't want state employees talking to kids about sex and gender and then hiding it from the parents. That's number one. Anti-racist stuff. Yeah, he doesn't want neo-racism brought into the state where you actually hire based on racism. That is actually racist.
And there are actually federal laws that supersede states who if this were even true, it would be illegal.
We have the Civil Rights Act of 1963. Quite correct, John. You're a fine host. Book bans. No, we don't have book bans here in Florida. They do have book bans in California because they don't like certain words in, say, books like Huck Finn that many of us read a long time ago. And then, of course, the final one was that somehow we want to stop people from voting here in Florida. Absolutely bananas. You know what you do have to do when you're voting here in Florida? You have to show an ID. Which I know she seems to think that black people can't get IDs. I've asked several black people. They all seem to be able to get IDs just like white people. I don't like Joy Reid very much, John.
No. I think that's apparent, Dave, and I don't think you're alone in that assessment. Lastly, we have something for everyone's viewing pleasure. Congresswoman AOC is not very popular in her home district these days. Finally, she broke last night. Here she is. I don't know if we need to do a wellness check on AOC or if we can actually make fun of this. She might have some mental health issues there, but let's just pretend she's sane for the sake of the argument here. Which is the cringier moment, her Ricky Ricardo impersonation or her dance moves, Dave?
All right, listen, I'm AOC, I'm standing here, nobody likes me, the jig is up, the grift is up, people are getting it, nobody likes the woke. I don't know, my accent just severely changed in the middle of that. Look, everyone's had it with the wokesters. I hope and pray that her district flips. There is a chance. There's a chance all over the place. New York might flip with Lee Zeldin over Hochul. I mean, everything is up in the air right now. And I think the one way that we can really model in America going forward, sort of based on some of the principles of freedom that are happening right here in Florida, is that we're going to have to basically say, you know what? That moment where the squad took over and the racism took over and the drag queens and all of this stuff took over, it's in the mirror now. It's in the back mirror, and we can say, AO, see you later.
AO, see you later. Dave, see you later, my friend. Great to see you.
Adios, amigo.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.